Welcome, everybody, to this week's show. This is the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. I am your host, Russell Gibson, and we are live, and it is a cold and chilly Thursday night in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. We've had a lot more international listeners the last couple of weeks, so welcome, everybody from overseas. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're in America, it'll be nice and warm over there, so I hope you're enjoying your summer. The World Cup's just finished. So I think the NBA news cycle is going to be coming around a little bit more. In particular, the whole league is waiting for LeBron James to make his decision and his announcement. Allegedly or reportedly, Adam Silver is actually stopping the schedule from being released until LeBron makes his decision. So I think in very typical sort of LeBron James fashion, he is holding the league hostage while he dilly-dallies around and makes his decision as slow as he can. When that decision does get made, we are going to have Kyle Legacy come on and we're going to do a full breakdown in the Scouser mentality. So I'm really looking forward to that happening, obviously for LeBron James, but also to catch up with Legacy again. We're going to start off with a little bit of PSA news. In the last live feed we did, the backlog that is still currently, the backlog is at 11 million cards still, and the value tiers will reopen back at 5 million. So we've still got 6 million cards to get through here. This is from Card Purchaser. If you don't follow this gentleman on Twitter, absolutely give him a follow. He's constantly just putting out card-related chatter, etc., etc. Where is everyone sending their cards to get graded these days? Still PSA. Heaps of questions on this. I think this is a very engaging topic for people at the moment because either you're upset that PSA has shut down the value spots and also the delay is so long, or you are genuinely considering where you're going to get your cards graded to next. Top rips. I can't take PSA anymore. I grade about 100 cards a month. So I've been doing Fanatics / CGC grade and Vault for $10 per card. For personal collection, I've been using Tag. And I think that's a very good, honest take on the situation. Like, it's very practical. It's very pragmatic to use CGC in the Fanatics Vault. And for $10 a card, you can't really go wrong, can you? I mean, that's almost like the old days of what PSA was charging, wasn't it? You could get them done for just a couple of bucks and then flip them out really cheaply. Personally, I'm waiting for PSA to stop being a diva, and that's from @ThereGoesJohn. And look, there's nothing wrong with waiting, man. I think the problem with doing that, though, is that the price might not come down. So @SolvableC, I've been sending some unlicensed autos to SGC. For me, I don't want to keep autographs without protection for too long. Crown Jackster, taking a pause for grading until PSA get their prices down. Like, we'll send 1 or 2 to Beckett or SGC just for the PC. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, man. I think, yeah, this is absolutely like a theme that's emerging for me here. Otter, yes, have 22 cards there since February and still in assembly. Look, I've got a card there myself. I don't have 22 cards in there. It's a Manu Ginobili gold number to 10 Prism card with a sticker autograph on it. I'm also getting the autograph graded too. So I think that actually has to go through 2 queues, and I'll probably get some type of upcharge associated with that too. But yeah, I'm guessing mine's going to be 10 or 11 months at least. The pile on my desk waiting for PSA to never open their doors again, and that's from @Chayla. John Richardson, I'm personally waiting until value tiers open up with PSA again. 100%, man. @Willie_Whitmore, I was really intrigued by tag grading, but haven't sent my cards yet. Have purchased a couple of their exclusive releases, and they were very nice. Yeah. I think this is the thing, isn't it? When PSA is doing so well, I don't think they're going to cry over this, like losing a bit of business to different grading companies. But I think this is a definite offshoot of PSA shutting down. There's people who are going to be looking to different grading card companies. So Lammy Fam Cards, as someone who is getting cards ready to send to grading with everything that's developed the last few months, I'm not sure I trust the process. And there's nothing wrong with that, man, at all. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, because like, who really wants your cards sitting around there for months and months on end? @Treed_OKC, mine is still sitting in process status 2 months later. So this was created May the 23rd, and they're still in processing. So it's still got research and ID, grading, assembly, QA, graded, ready for pickup, picked up to go. So yeah, basically the process has not really started yet. @the Terry Shadley, straight to eBay, let someone else pay to find out it's a 9. I mean, you're not wrong there, man. @Joe Stacks, just sent 30 cards to CGC. I tell you what, I'm actually going to pause this here and I'm just going to go into gem rate and just have a look at what else has been going on to see if we can see a little bit of a trend. PSA 2.5 million cards graded in June 26, month on month plus 21%. And so that actually makes sense because PSA have actually said they're trying their hardest to get through and accelerate through what they've got year on year plus 74%. Man, that's just insane numbers, isn't it? CGC plus 19% for the month and 78% year on year. Beckett just plus 1% month on month. So that's really interesting to me. I would have thought you would see a bigger jump on the month on month there for Beckett, plus 132% year on year for Beckett. Tag plus 4%. Again, I would have expected to see a little bit more, but that's totally fine. Plus 45% year on year. SGC is the big loser here. 39,000 cards graded in June, minus 19% for the month and minus 75% year on year. That's a very interesting development. I'd like to see more about that with SGC. I might even reach out to Ryan on that to see if he's got some context on that, because at Shooty Babbitt 1, what's going on at SGC? Why are the numbers down? Any idea? I grade with them a lot and they seem to be well acknowledged by the collecting community. That's literally the same question that I asked too. Alrighty, moving on. This is a little bit of licensing and player payments news. This is from at TSOJ Ball. Jalen Clark reveals every NBA player gets the same licensing check, and his was $385,000. Licensing check money from NBA 2K jersey sales and trading cards. Instead of LeBron James making $30 million, all the players came together and said, we're going to include everybody. Everybody gets an equal share, no matter if you're the top dog on the team or the bottom dog. I mean, that's a very honest and equal way to distribute funds throughout the league, isn't it? And I think for someone like LeBron James, it's probably not going to make that much difference. But to a guy like this, where every dollar is still mattering, that's a huge, huge uptick. And I actually think that's a very reasonable thing for the players to do, because they all would have had to agree on that. It's a lot of cash for every single player to get. I was actually talking to my buddies about this today in a group chat. I really wonder about how much money these companies do make on these video games and all the rest of it, if that's how much they're getting paid out for licensing for every single NBA player. But I suppose that also includes jersey sales and trading cards, and it's not just 2K, is it? But at Street Life and number one, this is why the NBA has the strongest players union in sports, 385,000 just for existing as an NBA player on top of your salary is actually insane. 100%. And next story here is from Lamine James, but we are going to tie this in also to his trade that's just happened this week. Number one pick 2 years ago, and you can pick up his veteran. It's not his rookie card, but a Bowman Chrome, a very nice autograph of that. Looks to me like it's a sticker, but still very nice card there. Looks a bit like a white sparkle that you might see out of Prism. Autograph number to $299 for just $7.50. This guy has absolutely fallen off a cliff hobby-wise. And he's still a really young kid, so I actually don't mind that as a pickup. So the NBA trade that was reported that involved a ricochet. Atlanta gets Lu Dort and Ryan Nembrand. Dallas gets ricochet, and OKC gets draft picks. So this is another very, very solid move for the Hawks, essentially picking up one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. Essentially as a salary dump, and we'll talk about the salary dump a little bit more. I'm pretty intrigued as to why the Hawks moved off Ricochet so quickly, because it seems very, very early for me for him to be just essentially thrown away in a deal and not getting a whole heap back. The other thing too for the OKC Thunder is because they, maybe desperate's not quite the right word, but they really did need to move out some salary. And I'm actually surprised that the Thunder didn't have to give up draft equity to get rid of that contract. I mean, it's not a horrible contract, so maybe that's why. And he still is a very good NBA player, but the Thunder have had a massive win on this one here. So this is from Yahoo Sports. They're breaking down the trade here. All right, the Atlanta Hawks got a B+ for this trade. The Hawks got the best player in the deal with Dort. The defensive duo he now forms with Dyson Daniels will give teams trouble on the perimeter. They will need shooting from the guys surrounding these two, which their current projected lineup does feature. Nembrand was also sent to Atlanta in this trade. Overall, a great trade as they reshape their roster into a more defensive-oriented mindset. So moving off Trae Young and into Lu Dort, it's a huge, huge change for that team. And I think what the issue is going to be for them now is going to be offensive creation, because losing Trae Young, losing Ricochet, I don't think he was an insane playmaker. but at the same time, he still had a little bit of all-round game in terms of shooting, passing. Even his three ball wasn't terrible with Ricochet. So I think, yeah, it's a really weird one for me. So I think if he bombs out in Dallas, that will be why. Like, they've clearly made a very quick early read on this guy, but as a former number one overall pick, it is a little bit surprising for me. Dallas Mavericks get an A on this trade. The Mavericks getting Ricochet for Nembrandt is an awesome deal for them. 100%. It's just a huge talent upgrade. And also, too, like, who cares if it doesn't work out? Like, it's a risk worth taking. They get some great upside and potential for someone who was in the back end of the roster. If it doesn't work out, whatever, you didn't give up anything. 100%. I could not agree with that more. Dallas will now likely need to look for another trade as their roster is building up too many players. Look for potential trade rumors for Daniel Gafford, Klay Thompson, maybe another name to monitor as they round out their roster. I mean, they've got a lot more decisions to make on this because they've also got Kyrie Irving, who's very much a veteran player. I don't think Klay Thompson fits this roster anymore, just for the fact that they've gone in a completely different direction with their roster. It's a young roster now, and I think they should give the keys to Cooper Flag and just let that guy go nuts. I would personally keep Gafford. He's still a very usable big. He doesn't need a lot of sets run for him. I think he can help your team without, really much being going on for it. Whereas I think Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving can actually still help teams, particularly in the back end of their careers. So Oklahoma City gets a C. The Thunder gave up the best player and didn't receive anything of immediate value in return. That in itself will take the grade down, but I wouldn't go as far to say it was a bad trade. They needed to get under the second apron and receive 3 more picks in their efforts to do so. I wouldn't say this trade is a win, but it's definitely not as bad as reported on paper. I agree with that. And let's talk about the second apron, because this is now the third team this offseason that has mentioned the second apron in terms of how it's shaped their decision-making and also roster moves around that. The Knicks, after winning the championship, said very publicly they would not go into the second apron, and this is the reason why. As of June the 15th, the Oklahoma City Thunder payrolls $557 million. $261 million of that was salary. $296 million of that was tax. After the trades, which includes Aaron Wiggins, Lu Dort, and Isaiah Joe being traded away, their salary now stands at $214 million, and their tax is just $20 million. So, and I don't want to over sensationalize this. If you can save $200 million trading away Lu Dort, you do that. Like, there's no player in the league, okay, maybe except for Luka or LeBron James in their prime, that's worth $200 million. There is nothing wrong with teams having a little bit of financial responsibility. I approve of this trade. What's really interesting for me, though, is the fact that the Thunder have this many good young players and essentially have to give them away for ultimately, nothing. Second round picks could work out to be something and actually could be really valuable in terms of having a good, talented player on a very low contract in the future for them. But that is very much, it's far down the line. But at the same time, I think if you're a team out there, you'd almost be approaching the Thunder looking to pick up some of their discarded players because they've just got so much talent on their roster. Let's have a look at their depth chart, because it's amazing how things just so quickly change. Like, in my mind, this is a team that could have won 3 championships in a row. Obviously, with the injury to Jalen Williams last year, they weren't at full strength and they got knocked out of the playoffs by the Spurs. That was a huge surprise for me. I was not expecting that in any capacity at all at the start of the season. I would never have predicted that. Despite them losing all that talent that we just spoke about, their depth chart looks like this: SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, AJ Mitchell, Jared McCain. I think he's going to start this year instead of Lu Dort. This trade actually hasn't been updated and reflected on the depth chart yet. Cason Wallace is still on the roster. Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, which is the not as good as the Jalen Williams, Kenrick Williams, Thomas Sorber, and allegedly Sorber's actually grown in the offseason. Oklahoma City Thunder center power forward Thomas Sorber grew 10 inches during the offseason, bringing his height to 6'11", with an expanded 7-8 foot wingspan. I mean, these kids are just insane, aren't they? Isaiah Joe is gone off the roster. He's been traded, so this hasn't been updated for a while. And there's Aaron Wiggins still on the roster too. Brendan Carlson, Nikola Topic, that's another guy to keep your eye on for them too. So yeah, they're still going to be insanely competitive this year, despite the fact they've had to unload all of that talent. Having a look at the Dallas Mavericks roster now, Kyrie Irving, Max Christie, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Sasa, Sergio Di Laria, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall. I love Najee Marshall. Santi Aldama, I think he's been traded to the Lakers. Caleb Martin, Rishashare Johnson, Derek Lively. So yeah, they need upgrades on this roster, don't they? I think they really need to upgrade their two guard. I think Lively will be back in the starting lineup at some point this season. There's no real reason for them to hold him back, especially after the way he played in the NBA Finals. A little bit of card porn for you. This is from @CardLadder. Recent sale, the 2024 National Treasures SGA Logoman 1 of 1 sold for $427,000 via Golden Auctions on July the 11th, 2026. For a non-rookie Logoman, for me, that seems really, really high. And again, we're just talking about this. Like, it's crazy how quickly the dynasties can change. Like, they've gone from winning unlimited championships to then not winning last year and now unloading a really key piece to their roster. Last thing to add about the Lu Dort trade, this is from Kevin O'Connor. OKC trading Lu Dort might be purely about the money, but finances could also be a convenient excuse. Dort was borderline unplayable against the Spurs. He's a shaky shooter. He's never been a shot creator, and he may already be past his peak defensively. Plus, his minutes were blocking backcourt players who could end up better. My gut says this move is the Thunder getting off a guy 1 year before everyone realizes they should. That is, I mean, as always, Kevin O'Connor is just a brilliant basketball mind. I think that does look past a little bit about what his game is, and being unplayable for one series, isn't a really good reason to trade a player, particularly what he's contributed to that team. What I'm really interested in seeing, though, from this team is just to see how dynamic some of these other guys can be. Like, I'm really excited to see Topic play. I think this puts Chet into the spotlight, and I actually think Hardenstein needs to play more minutes too. Maybe actually this is what it's going to do. It's going to force them to really play 7 or 8 players all the time. Jared McCain is going to be a frontline player going to the NBA Finals for the next couple of years. AJ Mitchell has to play well. I'm really keen to see that. That's what I think is the fallout for me of this trade, is how is their roster and their rotation going to look after all of this? A little bit more NBA/Michael Jordan news. This is the third week in a row that we've been making Jordan news reports. Here we go. Upper Deck is releasing a Metal Universe Space Jam 30th anniversary set in November, and it looks insane. I mean, just go with what works. People love old stuff. People love celebrating anniversaries. People love Michael Jordan. People want Jordan autographs. This is now the third product that he has signed in this year. So that for me it's interesting because he's been so dormant for, it seems to be like 10 years he hasn't signed for. So all of a sudden now he's getting back out and signing. I've got no idea why about this, and this is purely speculation, but I wonder if he had to sign, so much in a certain period of time and it's coming towards the end of the contract. And, here we are with him needing to sign. Jambalaya will be back in the product. That stuff doesn't really interest me at all. The inserts, they're really cool. I think for me, at the end of the day, this is all just about the autographs. If these are on-card autographs and they are genuinely SSPs, I am all about that. It's just obviously the pain you need to go through of how many packets you need to rip to make it all happen. Alrighty, let's start off with a mail day. De'Aaron Fox, a blank slate. I'm not even sure I have a blank slate in my collection, to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, getting one and getting a De'Aaron Fox too. I got this off a friend. So, Brett, thank you so much, mate. The card arrived absolutely beautifully. And obviously, it's a pricing thing for me. I really just did feel that the Fox ones are a little bit overpriced. I probably could have hung out and got one graded for maybe around the same price that I paid. Probably prefer just buying off people I know these days. So this is how this is going to work. I'm going to rip open these cards. The most interesting card out of this pack, I will either comp it or I will do a story about it or something, along those lines. If you are watching at home, I'll put some pictures up on Instagram, or otherwise go to YouTube and watch the weekly feed if you do want to check out the cards and also check out the blank slate Alrighty, Andre Drummond on the red, white, and blue. Devontae Graham on the red, white, and blue. And Luka Garza. This is so far the most interesting card that we've had out of this. And for me, I'm still not forgiving this guy because I had Pistons in a pick your team break in Cade's rookie year, and a bronze number to 20 came out for Pistons. And for a second, I thought it was Cade Cunningham, but it was Luka effing Garza. There you go. Karl Malone, the mailman, probably the most interesting so far. Chris Duarte, Tim Duncan. Well, Duncan is winning so far. Campazzo, Jalen Smith, the goggled one, Russell Westbrook, Instant Impact, Davion Mitchell, Silver, Drew Holiday. Nice one there. A Green Bones Highland, Embiid, Montrezl Harrell, and Sadiq Bey. All right, guys. The two most interesting cards are Tim Duncan and Karl Malone. So let's do a Karl Malone and Tim Duncan breakdown. So Duncan is 17th on the player index list. He is behind Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe, Steph Curry, Magic Johnson, Luka, Wemby, Shaq, Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, SGA, Giannis, Bill Russell, KD. I think KD's had a massive surge recently. Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic, and then Tim Duncan. So who are the people who I think Duncan should be ahead of? I mean, Jokic for me is a tough one because I love them both. Edwards is a no-brainer despite the huge hype this guy's got. Should be ahead of Kevin Durant. Should be ahead of Giannis. Should be ahead of SGA. Wilt is a tough one. Kareem's a tough one. Shaq, I understand why he's up there. Wemby, I think that Duncan should be ahead of Wemby, but I do understand why he's up there. Luka Doncic, exactly the same thing as Wemby. Magic Johnson, it's probably because he signed about 80 million autographs that his total market cap is at 87.3 million. Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, no complaints about that. Absolute at all. Alrighty, some of the top Tim Duncan cards. 1997 Topps Chrome rookie card. The 1997 Metal Universe Championship PMG number to 50. And the 97 Metal Universe Tim Duncan red PMG. And also the green PMG. Why don't we just look at those four? I think that's enough cards to go through, isn't it? The 1997 Topps Chrome base card PSA 10. Population on that is 2,480. Last sold for $600. If you look at the all-time sales data on this, whoa. So during COVID, that peaked at 4,500 and it went all the way back down to about $200. The last year, he's up 121%. The last 2 years, he's up 100%. Yeah. And that's fair enough, isn't it? The refractor last sold for $6,599. The last 2 years, that's up 69%. The pop on that is 106. Yeah, I think that's banging. That's an absolutely amazing buy. I'll give that a 10 out of 10 on that one there for the Topps Chrome refractor rookie card. Tim Duncan, 1997 Metal Universe Championship, number 72, numbered to 50, last sold for $4,450 in March of 2019. There is very, very, very little sales data on this. There is one piece of sales data all time, just because of the scarcity of this card. I think this is the type of card that if it did go back to market, like who knows what this could go for. $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, even if it's raw. And in many ways, nothing to do with Tim Duncan, more about the card and the scarcity of it. Red PMG, number to 90. This is the raw one. Again, very, very little sales data on this. Let's try and find some sales data. All right, this last sold in 2022, BGS 9. It sold for $85,000. Yeah. I mean, this is entering high-end collecting material here. I'm still going to rate this as a buy. I think as a rookie card, of how highly coveted these cards are, the high grade on this one here, I mean, it's probably in Shine's collection, right? And the green PMG, BGS 8, population on this is 3. It last sold for $228,000. The green is numbered to 10. All-time sales data. There's 3 sales on this. We've actually got a graph. In 2020, it sold for $50K. In 2021, it sold for $200,000. And in 2025, it sold for $228,000 again. But this is just monopoly money for me, but I think that's a very shrewd purchase. PSA 6, that last sold in 2020, and it sold for $79,000 in March 2019. This sold for $33,000. So again, yeah, I think it's a 6-digit card now. That could be $200,000, even at PSA 6. Like we saw the Kobe, the low-graded Kobe sell for insane dollars. I couldn't imagine this is going to be anything else than that. Alrighty, our last player of this evening, as dictated by our live rip, and I'm not going to sit here and count down all of the different guys, but Karl Malone is below Bob Cousy, Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, Jeff Malone, John Stockton, LaMelo Ball, and is ahead of Isaiah Thomas, Trae Young, Halliburton, Drexler, Donovan Mitchell, Elgin Baylor, and Anthony Hardaway. Some of the top Karl Malone cards is the 86 Fleer card, 1998 Fleer Tradition. And let's see if he's got a PMG in here. I don't think he does, because if he did, it would be there. He does have a Kaboom, though. Let's start off with the Kaboom. 2014 Excalibur Karl Malone Kaboom PSA 10, last sold for $1,227. All-time sales data for $1,400 in 2024. In 2022, it sold for $330. Oh man, that's such a great purchase. And $76 in 2017. Wow, look at this. So in between 2021 and 2024, there was a heap of sales, and they all sold between $300, $279, $350. The last sale in 2026, it's gone up to $1,375. I gotta say, considering that he doesn't have a PMG, that's kind of the biggest, shiniest card that's left over, isn't it? I'm genuinely intrigued by this card. Last week, we spoke about the Drexler XRC. I'm going to put this into the same type of sentence. I think that this is going to be a very, very collectible card long term. I need to do a bit more research to see if he does have a PMG, but there's not one here, and it would be here if it was there. If that's the case, I think this card is an absolute purchase. It'll be very collectible. Out of a fantastic set, he might not be the most loved guy, but it will be chased, and it will be definitely collectible. 1986 Fleer Karl Malone, again, the most famous and most popular set ever created. PSA 9, population 2,353. It last sold for $381. Look, it is what it is. I think that's a very reasonable price. The price difference, however, between the 9 and the 10 is 10x. And I think that's too much. I think the PSA 9's a buy. PSA 10 is $3,750. It last sold July the 21st, 2026. You're looking at cards that are value with a differential between a 10 and a 9. Here's another example of that. I think that's very undervalued. Yeah, the pop is high, but I think to go from PSA 9 to PSA 10 to go 10x, that ratio is way up. I think that's a fantastic pickup there. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to stop this here. Thank you, everybody who did jump into the feed, jumped into the comments. Really appreciate you. Shout outs again, Raz Mitch, NBA Card Kings, delcard.ck, Roscoe, Grandmama's Ballers, MK Love Me, Dane Neville. What's up, guys? And just as a reminder, tomorrow night, we have got Matt Harper from NCM coming on to talk some cards with me. I'm really, really looking forward to catching up with Matt. That'll be awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you for the next one. Peace, guys. Bye. What's up, guys? A post-podcast fact check in progress right now. There is, in fact, a 1997 Metal Universe PMG of Karl Malone, and you can see here, this is from collectibles.com. They've got a couple of prices up on the screen here, one for $12.9 and one for $11.8. So the green number to 10 would go for exponentially more than that. That does change the narrative on what I said about the Kaboom, but I still think it's a fun purchase, particularly at that price point. The one thing I would like to stand by is that ratio between the PSA 9 and the PSA 10. I think that is still very, very good value there. And even though I'm not quite as excited as the Kaboom now that I know there is a red PMG of Karl Malone, I still think this was a fun segment to do. So thank you so much, guys. You take it easy, and I'll catch you for the next one. Bye.